press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Our top story is strategic communication on profound global changes, an in-depth discussion on long-term issues, and that is how State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi described Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's trip to China. Well, Saturday marked the final day at the ice-breaking trip, and both Xi Jinping and Modi agreed to strengthen communication and seek better ties. CGTN's Zheng Chunying starts us off.
The first ever informal visit by an Indian Prime Minister since 1988. Free of any diplomatic frills, the leaders of the world's two largest developing countries took a stroll by the East Lake in the central Chinese city of Wuhan. They went on an hour-long boat ride and appreciated deep history of their Asian cultures during a personal tour in the city's museum. Looking to the future, the two leaders underscored the importance of maintaining peace and stability in the border regions.
They decided that they will strengthen communication between the two militaries in order to build trust and understanding.
President Xi Jinping said mutual trust is the basis for the stable development of bilateral relations. Prime Minister Modi also wrote about the meeting on Twitter, saying, "Delighted to meet President Xi Jinping in Wuhan. Our talks were extensive and fruitful. We deliberated on stronger India-China relations as well as other global issues." However, relations haven't been free of tensions. Last summer, more than 270 Indian troops crossed the boundary into China's Donglan area to obstruct the infrastructure building. The dispute was resolved when India withdrew their troops. Modi last visited China in September for the BRICS summit, and some experts believe the timing of Modi's Wuhan trip is significant.
Especially now as the two leaders meet, I think the context is defined by the fact that Donald Trump's America First, following the protectionist policies, focusing inwards. And that, I think, creates grounds for China and India to play a larger role.
Experts say the two countries are building a complementary relationship. More evidence of that is likely to be on display when the two leaders meet again at the summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in June. Zheng Chunying, CGTN.
Now, Vice Foreign Minister Kong Xuanyou, after Modi's departure, said the length and the scope of the conversation between the two leaders has surpassed their previous discussions. Take a listen.
The two sides agreed to upgrade and integrate the existing intergovernmental mechanisms for closer strategic communication. The military and security communication mechanism should effectively enhance mutual trust between the two sides. We will also launch negotiations at an early date on regional trade arrangements and on a bilateral investment agreement to enhance practical cooperation on trade and other areas. The two sides will also set up a high-level people-to-people exchange mechanism. We will also continue to work hard to seek a fair and mutually acceptable settlement to border boundary issues.
Now, India's mainstream media have praised the meeting's outcome, with almost all the newspapers carrying it on their front pages. The Indian Express, one of the leading English dailies, carried a photograph on the front page and said the visit bridged the trust deficit between the two countries. Well, the Chinese president had traveled out of Beijing to meet Modi, and the report pointed out it was the first time Xi is extending such a gesture to a visiting foreign leader. The most circulated English daily in northern India, Times of India, highlighted how the two leaders will meet 6 times in 24 hours. And in China, the China Daily editorial noted how their communication reflected their deepened mutual chemistry. The meeting has also drawn attention of international media. Time magazine said it was a meeting worth watching as China and India go from peripheral players to central drivers in a new world order. And figures show China has become the top education destination for India students, surpassing the UK and the US. Now, as CGTN's Li Jianhua reports, Indian students think education here in China is more cost-effective and could give them an edge.
India and China, often seen as competitors, are learning from each other. An increasing number of Indian students are coming to China. Statistics show that more than 18,000 Indian students studied in China in 2016, a number surpassing that of the UK for the first time.
The education fees in China is very competitive compared
compared to the UK and the US, together with the student visa policies. Because after President Trump took office, the student visa policy is much tighter than before. And after Brexit, the UK apparently is also a standpoint in international stage, not that welcome international students to come to their job market.
Apart from affordable tuition fees, the language capabilities and skill sets they gain while in China are also believed to make them more competitive.
First of all, because of the language, because in India there is like much more demand of Chinese language. That's why, and the other thing is, if I keep in touch with international business, I can do both with language and international business major.
India and China don't see eye to eye on certain issues. In particular, 2 months of border-related tensions last year, but the younger generation does not think of each other as competitors.
The industries are quite specifically divided between India and China. For example, India is relatively good at IT and software-related issues and software-related industries, whereas China is better in hardware-related industries and manufacturing.
Experts say most Indian students in China are from wealthy families, but the opportunity could be extended to many others if the country joins the Belt and Road Initiative, as the Silk Road Fund offers plenty of scholarships. An increasing number of Indian students are choosing to study in China. Medicine and languages are the top 2 majors of choice. They believe studying in China is more cost-effective and will give them a leg up over their peers. Li Jianhua, CGTN, Beijing.